Hello, I'm Edwin Zanabria, a certified dental technician from Peru. As dental technicians, we know that reproducing a natural tooth is a difficult task, and when a basic technique is not enough, we need to get creative, push ourselves and our porcelain to get the results we want. That's why we have advanced layering to get us there and mimic nature as close as possible. So, let's get started. Today, we'll be emulating an old tooth, and as you can see, I already have the framework with the base opaque and the corresponding crystals. In this case, I'll be using a 3.5 shade because an old tooth is the shade is warm, it's a warm color, so I'll be using a 3.5, and I'll also be using Ceramco 3 paste opaque modifiers. First, we start with the shade opaque. In this case, a 3.5. We want our shade opaque to be honey-like consistency. So now we apply to the framework. After you pick up a little amount of shade opaque with your brush, you just apply to your framework, doing some circular movements, giving it a little massage for all the surface. That way you can get it deep into the space between the crystals of the previous bake. Okay, as you can see, it's all coverage. And after this step, we're now going to proceed to put some modifiers. This one I'm using today, I'm using 10, but I like to use them like they were, kind of like they were stains. I will show you. The keyword for today is going to be contrast. We're going to create contrast between different colors, from warm colors to dark colors. We have a little bit of tan. Got orange modifier, opaque modifier. This will give us a more warm color. And we have sienna. Orange and sienna are kind of similar, but the difference is the sienna, you can see brown, a little bit of brown color in it. Now that we got the right consistency, we're ready to apply. But just remember, you can also mix these modifiers. I'll give you a little example. You can grab a little bit of the tan, and you can put a little bit of orange, and you will have a different, you have a combination, a different chroma that you can play with. You got a new one, so you can use this to create contrast, because that's the keyword. That's the keyword. You're gonna hear that word in all the video. We're talking about contrast. So we apply it just like we're applying stains, but remember, these are opaque modifiers. Now we go mesial. We're going to use a little bit of the orange again. So that was orange. Now I'm going to put a little bit of sienna to create contrast between this one's stronger than orange. This was more saturated, so I'm going to put a little bit to create some contrast. You'll see on the denting application phase, you will see that this will bring the color from the inside. Okay, we do the same thing on distal. Put a little bit of orange. I want it saturated. And we create contrast with sienna, which is more saturated than orange. Okay, now as I talk about contrast, now we're going to put some sienna. I'm still in Lingual, so I'm going to put a little bit on the cervical third to create a little bit more contrast. this is going to emulate the root. So I want that third really strong in shade. That way I don't need to use modifier powders. I like working this way. You start with all the shade that you need from within in the opaque face. Okay, now we go for labial. I'm gonna put a little bit orange in the cervical third to saturate it a little bit. Now to create contrast, I'm going to put a little bit of sienna straight to the cervical third to create the appearance of a root. See how strong it is? A little band of orange. I'm going to let just a band to create a little contrast between the shade paste A3.5 and just a band of orange. Now I want to create more contrast. So that's why I took out a little bit of tan and I'm going to place them in different spots just to create a little more contrast, because this one is more of a olive brown color. So you'll see these spots. You see this? Can you see the spots? Those are the little things that it's just you don't need to do this, but it's just make it a little more fun. And like I said, I like my color come from within. Okay, now our surface is smooth. We don't have any puddles of paste modifiers, and we're gonna do the next step, which is applying crystals. We're gonna apply opaque crystals, light opaque crystals. This will help us in the light scattering effect. So these are really important. This is the beauty of the system. This is why I really like the crystals. They help you a lot on the light scattering effect. So we sprinkle an evenly coat of opaque crystals all over the frame. Now you can see the surface. It resembles sandpaper. That's what we want. That's what's going to help us in the light scattering effect. We're going to make sure that we don't get any crystals on the inside of the framework. So we can clean it with a clean brush. And we're good to go. Now we bake it. Our next step to begin layering is to get our powders ready. So this one, Opacious Denting A4. I don't mix them roughly. I just put the liquid and let the powder suck all the water. And that way, I'm not putting any air into the powder. This is Opacious Denting A3.5. This is our main Opacious Denting. This one is Opacious Denting A3 because I want to create, like I said, our keyword for today is contrast. So I want to create contrast. Here we have our denting modifier, Intense Orange. I really like Intense Orange. I use it for everything. It got this warm saturation, and I just love it. I use a lot of Intense Orange. This one is Denting D2. I'm using this denting because I want a lower value on the incisal third. This is Denting A3 and Denting A3.5. As I said, just to create contrast. That's why I have different saturation powders. This one is Opacious Denting B4. I'm gonna add a little bit of different hue. This is yellow hue. I made a mix. This one is Denting Modifier Pink and Opacious Denting A4. I will put this powder on the cervical area, the cervical third, because I want a smooth transition between the gingiva and the beginning of our restoration. So in this case we have medium enamel. According to the reference chart in the manual, you're supposed to use light enamel, and to create contrast, probably you're getting tired of hearing that word, but to create contrast we have enamel light. Okay. Finally, we have our Enamel Effects. I have right here Denting Modifier White. Because it's a modifier, this is a denting modifier. I know it says denting modifier, but you can use any of the powders to mix with anything, and you can use them in any part of your tooth. It doesn't matter. If you want to create decalcification effect, you can use denting modifier white. This is Enamel Super Clear. Enamel Super Clear is as transparent as this glass. So if you use this, you gotta be really careful, because this powder can lower the value really fast. The next one, it's our natural enamel violet. I use it most of the time, just like the denting modifier orange. I use them all the time. The next effect we have is Ivory. It reflects light, and you can use it as a denting. I know it says enamel, but I use it as a denting too, when I want to create contrast between a transition between, let's say, from that root to the cervical third. Okay, next we have, this is a mix. I mixed Opal Enamel Clear, Super Clear, and Mamelon Red Orange. What this powder is going to give me, it's going to give me opalescence, because I put Opal Enamel Clear, and like the name said, it's opal and it's clear. It's not transparent, it's translucent. So I have opalescence, I have the color, I have the red-orange warm color that the Mamelon powder is giving me. I got Mamelon Red Orange, and I have a little bit of transparency that the Super Clear is going to give me. Finally, we just have Mamelon Yellow Orange. It's highly reflective powder. Each powder have a reason, and each powder help us to creating a more lifelike crown. It will help us to create contrast and make our restoration looks as natural as we can get. Our next step now is layering. Here's where the fun begins, okay? So as you can see, I got the stone model. It's already sealed, and I'm going to apply a little bit of dye, dye release, okay? Here we're going to put our mix, which is pink modifier with Opacious Denting. This is a 50-50. Okay, what we're doing now, this is going to be our foundation layer. This will be all Opacious Denting. We go palatal. Here we can put some of the denting modifier, the intense orange. If you're using this intense modifiers, try to use them on the back. By this I mean try to put them first and then put a layer, either denting or Opacious Denting on top of it. So now we go mesial and distal. We're going to put a little bit of the orange, the denting modifier in orange, this intense orange. And I'm going to use a little bit of Opacious Denting A4 just to saturate a little bit this part, this third. Now we're ready for the base shade. In this case it's a 3.5. I know it seems a lot, but on my everyday work I use it this way. we start building the anatomy, the shape of the tooth already. Yes, we start the shape from the beginning. Since our first layer, we gotta start doing the shape. We overbuilt 10% for shrinkage. Okay, now we start building lingual. We also start shaping the anatomy. Okay, now we're ready for denting. We're going to use our denting, our base denting, which is a 3.5. Also, shaping the anatomy, following the anatomy, and making an irregular surface. Be careful not to push too hard on the sides third, because you could move the powders. Okay, so we got denting. It's denting a 3.5. Now we go lingual, also a 3.5. As you can see, I'm covering already the orange modifier that I put, and that's the way I like it, because it will come from within. A3, A3. Now we put some D2, help us in contrast, D2. As you can see, it's irregular. Do not make a smooth surface. A3. D2. And A3. All right, there you see, it's irregular. It's not smooth. That's what we're looking for. Here we put some D2. As you can see, all the dentin surface is irregular because we need to put our enamel layer and our effects layer on top of them. So those layers need to be smooth because an old tooth have a smooth surface. We're going to create a white band. Let's make a couple of the white bands over here. They're usually on the middle part, on the middle third. So with the help of a carver, you carve a little of the porcelain. One, and another one on the bottom, just that's it. Okay, here you're gonna put a little bit of a modifier, denting modifier white, but I know it's a little strong, so I'm gonna mix it a little bit with denting A3, and we put the white band. This will create a nice effect. You can do it too on Lingual if you want to. Well, nobody will see it, but you know it's there. So put our mix, create a white band. You can create a white band, orange band, gray band, any of those. You can just mix the denting modifiers that we have. You see this little spaces that we have here? Those little spaces, they're gonna help us and create an illusion of depth. Okay, now we apply enamel violet, because this powder is going to help us absorb light. As I said before, be careful with this powder or any powder that absorbs light, because it can bring your value down. There you go. You can do the same in Lingual. Just keep it irregular. For next step, I'm going to create our frame. I like creating this frame because it would help me on putting the Enamel Effects or putting decalcifications, any type of effect that you can find in the incisal third. So, depending on what you want to show, or the level of transparency that you find on the incisal third, it means which powder you're going to use. You can make the frame with a clear powder, which is a translucent powder, or you can make it with a transparent powder. But remember, this will bring your value down real fast. So I'm going to use a little of super clear because it's an old tooth, lower value, and the incisal third. Also keep it irregular. Done. Okay. Now we're going to put some Mamelon Jello Orange, some Denting Modifier White 2. All right. I don't want them too strong. I like my effects when they're just smooth, not too noticed to the human eye. And that's the way they should be. I think we're pretty much ready for enamel. We start with medium. Why do I start with medium? Because remember, I haven't touched this wall. So in this wall, I will put light. And here, I can start with the cracks. I just need to make a wall. I'm creating a wall. You can see the wall right there. And I'm going to fill it with the universal stain. Okay, make sure it's moisture and we paint it. That's it. That's all you need to do, just one quick pass. Don't do it again, because you're probably thinking, I don't see anything. But no, believe me, you will find it. If you put a contrast powder, in this case light, you will see a difference. So, put light. Now medium. I'm gonna put another crack here, make a wall. You can also do a crack with an opacious, bright denting. So we're playing with our effects. Enamel violet. It will give us more. It will absorb light, and then next to it, light, enamel light. Now medium. Okay, now we layer enamel on lingual, the same as in labial, which is enamel medium, light, but we're going to create an abrasion effect, so we are not going all the way up. Light, light, and medium. Okay, so we're going to create abrasion or attrition effect, and this will make the denting pops. So you will see more denting. Okay, so we create some space, And we're gonna put here some mahogany. This is a universal stain, just to paint it a little bit. This one you can see it. You can fill it with intense orange, or you can use jello orange. In this case, Mamelon jello orange. And we're just gonna fill it over here. Before we take it out, we give it a little bit of anatomy, just a little bit. Create the lingual grooves. We can make an effect here. We can put a little bit of mahogany in the lingual grooves. It will give you a nice effect. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a little bit of denting and a little bit of enamel on mesial and distal, because I'm gonna take this out. Okay, now let's add on mesial and distal with the same powders that we start. Patient denting A4. Put some intensive orange. Same way, patient denting A4. Intensive orange. Now for the regular body, opacious denting at 3.5. That's the little tricky part about having this irregular surface. It creates more gaps that you can hold air in there. So you gotta be careful with that. But the effect that it gives you is worth it. Now we go with denting. Just a regular base denting, which was a 3.5. Remember, we're overbuilding because we're gonna overbuild on 10%. 3.5. We can put some cracks in here. Let's just have some fun here. This is mahogany. I'm also going to put a little bit of white right next to it. Let's close this gap, denting A4. Right there. So let's make another one here. Add some mahogany. A little bit of white. And we close it. Remember, over here, this is medium. So we're gonna do, I think we're gonna do a little crack over here. A little mahogany. Let's put some violet in here to create contrast. And light, also for contrast. Finish with medium. Light, and we finish with medium. Now the white bands that we talked about in the beginning, just start over here. Then we're going to fill it with our mixed of denting modifier white and denting A3. So as soon as you put some white modifiers, it turns into bright denting. Add a little bit of A 3.5. And we're done. See, it's irregular, it's not smooth, because I will add after the first bake. So after the first bake, there's the result that we get. Our next step is adding the final layer. What we need to do here is we need to layer either a translucent layer or a transparent layer. So we start by applying a little bit on the cervical third, a mix of clear and super clear by 50-50. Okay, now I'm going to place a little of enamel white to intensify the white bands that we put in the first bake. The white bands shouldn't be straight, should be irregular too. Push it against the clear and super clear layer. Now you see it's a little thicker, right? So reduce it with the help of the brush, like this. You can do it in a continuous line, or you can break some spots. You can break some spots right here, make it a little thinner. Okay, so we add now a little bit more of our mixed clear and super clear just next to it. Push it against it. What we gotta do is fill all the gaps. We don't want to catch any air. Yes. Okay, so now put the other band just right on top of it. Can you see how moist the powder is? That's the way you should do it on the second bake, to fill all the gaps that you left in the first bake. Please be aware, if you put not too moist, you will catch some air, so be aware of that. So I'm going to place a little bit of copper between these two layers, between the white enamel, the white natural enamel, and the mix of enamel and super clear. Just a little bit, because I want to create a little warming between them. Please be careful when you're doing this technique, because you're probably not going to see how strong it is after you bake it. After that, you fill the gaps with a little bit of the mix of super clear and clear. Or we can push them together, whatever works for you. We're just doing the final layer, giving some anatomy. To create just a little contrast, we're going to put just clear, pure clear. There's a difference between transparency and translucency. That's why I'm going to put a little bit of clear to create a contrast. Then our mixed. We're going to complete the anatomy with our mix. If you want to create a calcification, white stains, you can do it right now, or you can do it at the end, because if the patient or doctor doesn't like them, you can just take them out with a burr.
Now for Lingual, in order to cover that previous layer that we did, all irregular surface, we need to make our powder a little more like water, so it can get in there. Here we're gonna have wear of enamel, so I'm gonna layer a little bit of, I'm gonna mix Opacious Denting a 3.5 and Denting, and we need to fill them with our mix. Make sure everything is filled. Okay, and now we take out the crown and finish with mesial and distal. So what I'm going to do is just going to put a little bit of Opacious Denting a 3.5 and a little bit of Denting Modifier Intense Orange. Yes, finish. Keep eyeing the mix. Okay. Now we go the other side. Do the same thing. Now I like to add a little bit of Ivory. Natural enamel Ivory. Just a little bit on this, where the cervical and the root unite. We infiltrate the powder by making it a little wet, and we're good to go. We're ready for a second bake. Okay, this is the result of the second bake. As you can see, all the incisal effect, the white band effect, cracks that are coming from within. Okay, so now for final step, we do the shape, a little bit of anatomy. I want you to notice those white bands. So how can I do that? I can shape them kind of like they wear, kind of like if they wear Now we're going to create a little fracture line, because like I said, when we were layering, there's different ways that you can make a crack line. So I'll show you how to do it with some stains. We're going all the way to the back. Go into Lingual and go all the way to the middle of the fossa and just top at the cingulum. We can use this carbide burrs, and what we gotta do is carb with pressure until you hear it. Can you hear this? You can see it right there. The smooth fossa, and the crack lines right here in the bell. Now we're gonna glaze. I'm using the universal stains. I'm using some mahogany, just right here. Using some cream, some copper, white, and I2. First, what I have to do is I have to mix cream and just a little bit of white. And because we're using, we're using shade A, we put a little bit of copper and mix it. Grab a portion of our mix of cream, white, and copper. And it doesn't matter if you put too much. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Just get the line that we make with the bird, fill up with our mix, our stain mix. Then we apply a little bit of white on some spots. Right here, right here, right here, to create some contrast. Then we put some copper right here, right here, and right here, to also create contrast. And now we're going to put some I2 and Sisal I2. It's a combination of violet and gray. Okay, now we applied all stains and we're ready to bake. And here's the final product. After glazed, you can see the surface, smooth surface. That's what we're looking for. Well, right here on the Sisal edge, it shouldn't be this glassy, this shiny. So what we're gonna do, with the help of a rubber wheel, just gonna take a little bit out of that shine.
As you just saw, emulating nature takes all the knowledge we've been gathering among our years of experience. Getting familiar with your porcelain, controlling moisture, playing with contrast, trial and error, practice. Lots of practice and learning from your mistakes. Thank you to come along with me. I hope this video inspired you to keep pushing your craft and yourself to get the best result for your patients. Gracias.